They were overlooked, underpriced, taken for granted. But these 10 motorcycles are about to explode in value, and riders who waited too long are already regretting it. If you're even thinking about buying one, this is your warning. Watch until the end before they're gone for good. Number 10. Suzuki SV 650. There's something admirable about a motorcycle that refuses to change simply because the world around it does. The SV 650 has been defying expectations for over 2 decades, and it's quietly become one of the most dependable and well-loved machines in the middleweight category. It's not flashy. It doesn't need to be. For riders who value smooth power delivery, consistent handling, and a rock-solid platform they can trust, this is the motorcycle that keeps showing up year after year. The SV 650 produces 75 horsepower from its 645 cubic centimeters V-twin engine, delivering 47 pound-feet of torque braking, is handled by dual-disc brakes in the front and a single disc in the rear. Suspension consists of conventional telescopic forks in the front and a link-type monoshock in the rear. The wet weight is 432 pounds with a seat height of 30.9 inches. It starts at $7,700. What makes the SV 650 so unique in today's landscape is that it still feels like a motorcycle from an era when riders wanted to be more connected to the machine than to software. There are no riding modes, no screens filled with menus, just a tried-and-true engine wrapped in a practical, lightweight chassis. That simplicity has made it a favorite among new riders and veterans alike, but more importantly, it's made it durable. This is a bike built to last, and that matters when you're looking for long-term value. Another reason the SV 650 is becoming more desirable is how rare it's becoming to find motorcycles with these characteristics. Middleweight V-twins are vanishing as manufacturers chase parallel twins and electric alternatives. And because so many SV 650s are modified, tracked, or stunted, original examples are already becoming harder to find. That scarcity is only going to grow, especially once Suzuki shifts its lineup toward newer platforms. Many riders are starting to realize that this machine, once thought of as an entry-level option, is actually one of the most balanced motorcycles ever built. For those who want to secure a piece of reliable analog performance before it disappears, the time to act is now. And if you're someone who prefers a bolder look without giving up practicality, the next bike offers a fresh take on classic styling with an edge all its own. If one of these bikes surprised you, or you've owned one yourself, hit like and drop your story in the comments. Let's see which ones you'd never sell. Number 9. Royal Enfield Shotgun 650. Style can be subjective, but when a motorcycle stops people in their tracks, there's usually something more going on than just design. The Shotgun 650 brings that kind of presence to the road, a raw, stripped-down machine that blends custom inspiration with mechanical honesty. This is not a replica of the past. It's a deliberate evolution, and that's exactly what makes it stand out in a market where so many bikes are chasing trends. The Shotgun 650 is powered by a 648 cubic centimeters parallel twin engine that delivers 47 horsepower and 38 pound-feet of torque. It features disc brakes front and rear with a dual-channel anti-lock braking system. Suspension includes standard front forks and twin coilover shocks in the rear. It has a wet weight of 529 pounds and a seat height of 29.7 inches. The starting price is $7,000. What sets this motorcycle apart is not just how it looks, but how it rides. The engine, carried over from the Interceptor and Super Meteor, has already proven itself around the world. But here, in this new configuration, it feels tighter, more deliberate. The chassis and geometry are tuned to give the Shotgun a planted, muscular stance. It rides low, grips the road with fat tires, and feels exactly like what it is: a modern factory-built custom with real backbone. Unlike some motorcycles that seem like fashion statements, the Shotgun has the guts to back it up. It's well built, reliable, and thoughtfully laid out. Royal Enfield is not producing these in massive quantities, which means buyers looking for something different but still accessible are starting to take notice. And when production eventually slows or design updates alter the formula, this generation will likely become the one collectors look back on. What makes it a smart buy today is its current price relative to what it offers. There's a lot of value in a bike that looks like a garage-built one-off, but comes with a factory warranty and global parts support. If you've been holding out for a bike that turns heads without trying too hard, this one delivers. But if you're after something that blends tradition with just the right touch of modern performance, the next motorcycle hits that balance with surprising precision. Your bike's value is rising. Make sure your gear matches. Full list in the description. Number 8. Yamaha MT-07. There are motorcycles that impress you with spec sheets, and then there are motorcycles that impress you every single time you twist the throttle. The MT-07 falls into the second category. It's the kind of bike that doesn't need to be explained, it just needs to be ridden. Built on Yamaha's now legendary CP2 platform, this is a machine that delivers raw, real-world torque in a package that's both compact and approachable. And with each passing year, it becomes clearer that this is more than just a commuter bike, it's a future icon. The MT-07 is powered by a 689 cubic centimeters parallel twin engine that produces 74 horsepower and 50 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by dual front disc brakes and a single disc in the rear. Suspension consists of a telescopic front fork and a link-type monoshock in the rear. It has a wet weight of 406 pounds and a seat height of 31.7 inches. Starting price is $8,100. What makes the MT-07 so enduring is its mechanical honesty. In a time when more bikes are controlled by screens, riding modes, and layered software, this one keeps things simple. There are no rider presets, no lean angle sensors, no menu diving, just throttle, clutch, and gear. How it used to be. That directness is something more and more riders are starting to miss, and it's why the MT-07 is becoming more desirable as the industry moves toward higher tech platforms. It's also one of the most modifiable motorcycles on the road. You'll find MT-07s turned into stunt bikes, cafe racers, scramblers, even full-blown track machines. That versatility is a huge part of the bike's appeal, but it also means stock versions are going to be harder and harder to find. Years from now, a clean, original MT-07 will be a rare sight and a valuable one. We've seen this pattern before with bikes like the Yamaha RZ 350 or Suzuki SV 1000, machines that flew under the radar until it was too late to grab one at a reasonable price. But if you're looking for a motorcycle that looks custom-built the moment it rolls off the showroom floor, the next one might just stop you in your tracks. Number 7. Triumph Bonneville Bobber. Some bikes are machines, others are statements. The Bonneville Bobber is both. It's a motorcycle that captures the spirit of post-war garage-built customs while giving riders the kind of refinement and power only modern engineering can provide. From its silhouette to its riding dynamics, this is one of the few factory bikes that feels like it was built with a torch and a dream, not a spreadsheet. The Bonneville Bobber runs on an 1,197 cubic centimeters parallel twin engine that makes 78 horsepower and 106 pound-feet of torquey braking, is managed by dual front disc brakes and a single disc at the rear. Suspension includes a set of conventional front forks and a hidden monoshock under the floating seat. Wet weight is 502 pounds and the seat height is 27 inches. The starting price is $13,400. What gives this bike long-term value is its unmistakable design. The faux hardtail rear end, the single-seat setup, the fat front wheel, and the bar-end mirrors all give it a presence that turns heads at every stoplight. But it isn't just about looks. The engine delivers serious low-end grunt, making every twist of the throttle feel rich and deliberate. It's not a fast bike in the traditional sense, but it's quick in all the ways that count. This is also one of Triumph's more limited production machines. It's not a mass-market platform, and demand has stayed strong ever since its introduction. What's more, its custom potential has turned it into a canvas for builders and home tinkerers alike. As more of these bikes get chopped, slammed, or repainted, clean examples are going to become more valuable and harder to find. If Triumph ever retires the platform or switches over to a different engine configuration to meet tightening regulations, this generation of the Bonneville Bobber will be the one collectors search for. There's also a cultural piece to this motorcycle. It represents a kind of stripped-down rebellion that feels increasingly rare in a world full of feature-heavy machines. If you're the kind of rider who appreciates elegance through restraint, this one belongs in your garage. Now let's turn the dial, because the next cruiser delivers power, comfort, and modern technology in a package that offers far more than its price would suggest. Number 6. Honda Rebel 1100. Cruisers have always been about attitude and comfort, but every now and then one comes along that rewrites the rules without throwing out the soul. The Rebel 1100 does exactly that. It brings together three things rarely seen in a single package: serious torque touring comfort and cutting-edge transmission technology. And right now it's priced well below what it should be, making it one of the smartest buys on the used or new market for riders who still appreciate real mechanical value. This motorcycle is powered by a 1,084 cubic centimeters parallel twin engine borrowed from the Africa Twin, delivering 86 horsepower and 72 pound-feet of torque. It features a dual-disc front and single-disc rear braking system. Suspension includes telescopic front forks and twin rear shocks. The wet weight is 524 pounds and the seat height is 27.5 inches. The starting price is $9,500. What sets the Rebel apart isn't just the engine, though it's a highlight. It's the fact that Honda took a proven adventure power plant and dropped it into a cruiser format, then paired it with something riders almost never see in this class: a dual-clutch transmission. For older or returning riders who want less clutch fatigue without sacrificing control, the automatic shifting with manual override offers a ride that's both relaxed and responsive. Whether you're carving back roads or navigating city traffic, the experience is seamless and refined. That blend of performance and ease of use is what's driving the Rebel's rising demand. While brands like Harley-Davidson and Indian still lean into traditional V-twin layouts, Honda built a cruiser for the modern era. Riders who never saw themselves on a cruiser are giving this one a second look, and dealers can't keep them in stock. Combine that with its strong build quality, Honda's reputation for long-term durability, and relatively low production numbers, and you have a motorcycle destined for appreciation. The customization scene is growing too. From fairing kits and saddlebags to chopped fenders and performance exhausts, more riders are turning the Rebel 1100 into the bike they always wished existed. As with any platform that encourages personalization, clean original examples are going to be the first to rise in value once supply tightens. But if you think performance and nostalgia can't live in the same bike, what's coming next just might change your mind. Number 5. Yamaha XSR 900. Some motorcycles make you feel like you're riding the future. Others make you feel like you're reliving the best parts of the past. The XSR 900 does both at once. It's Yamaha's tribute to the golden era of performance machines, but under the skin, it's anything but retro. With razor-sharp handling, a thrilling triple-cylinder engine, and unmistakable design, this is a motorcycle that's only just beginning to gain the collector respect it deserves. The XSR 900 is powered by an 890 cubic centimeters inline 3-cylinder engine, producing 117 horsepower and 69 pound-feet of torque braking, is handled by dual front disc brakes and a single rear disc. It features an aluminum frame, fully adjustable inverted front forks, and a rear monoshock. The wet weight is 425 pounds, and the seat height comes in at 32.5 inches. It starts at $10,100. The engine is the heart of this machine. Yamaha's CP3 power plant is known for its broad, torquey curve, explosive mid-range, and soundtrack that evokes everything from Formula One to vintage two-stroke race bikes. But the performance is just one part of the story. What makes the XSR 900 special is how it blends aggressive riding capability with styling that's rooted in the 1960s, complete with round headlamps, sculpted tank, and color schemes that wouldn't look out of place in a vintage paddock. And as Yamaha continues pushing toward electric and emissions-focused platforms, bikes like the XSR 900 are becoming an endangered species. There's no telling how long this level of mechanical intensity will remain in the lineup. Once gone, it won't be replicated. That's why early production models, especially in limited or discontinued colorways, are already climbing in price on the used market. It's also a rider's bike, designed to be enjoyed hard, leaned deep, and pushed through corners. That means most examples are racking up miles fast, while others are being modified into cafe racers or stripped-down street fighters. As time goes on, unmodified, well-kept versions will grow increasingly rare and desirable. The XSR 900 isn't just another neo-retro motorcycle, it's a performance machine wearing the skin of a classic, and that combination is becoming harder to find. Want even more muscle wrapped in vintage elegance? The next bike delivers all of that and adds in a dose of British grit that sets it apart. Number 4. Triumph Speed Twin 1200. There's a certain kind of motorcycle that doesn't beg for attention, it earns it. The Speed Twin is exactly that. It brings with it decades of heritage, but it doesn't rest on nostalgia. It blends classic proportions with modern performance in a way that few bikes ever get right. The result is a machine that's elegant, muscular, and unmistakably British. And right now, it's poised to become one of the most collectible modern classics on the market. The Speed Twin is powered by an 1176 cubic centimeters parallel twin engine producing 99 horsepower and 83 pound-feet of torque. Braking is provided by twin front disc brakes with radial mounted calipers and a single rear disc. The suspension includes an inverted front fork and dual coilover shocks at the rear. Wet weight is 436 pounds and the seat height measures 31.8 inches. Starting price is $12,600. This isn't a stripped-down throwback or a repackaged cafe racer. It's a purpose-built roadster that retains everything people love about classic motorcycles while delivering the torque, responsiveness, and control expected of a modern platform. The power comes on smooth and steady, and the handling feels planted whether you're carving back roads or cruising through town. It's refined without being dull, raw without being unruly. But what makes the Speed Twin especially attractive is its production footprint. Triumph hasn't built this model in massive numbers, and with emissions regulations tightening, there's no guarantee it will remain in the lineup long term. We've already seen what happened with older air-cooled Bonnevilles and Thruxtons. Their values jumped sharply once production ended. This motorcycle is headed in the same direction. It's also a bike that tends to stay in the hands of riders who appreciate what it is. That means fewer high-mileage beaters on the used market and more interest in low-mileage, well-maintained examples. As other manufacturers pivot to parallel twins with different tuning or entirely new engines, the unique feel of the Speed Twin's high-torque motor will become harder to replace. This isn't just a motorcycle for Sunday rides or occasional garage admiration. It's one of the last remaining examples of a roadster that prioritizes character over electronics and craftsmanship over gimmicks. But what if you could own a bike that literally built the legend of Japanese motorcycling? That's exactly what comes next. Number 3. Honda CB1100. There are motorcycles that define a brand, and then there are motorcycles that define an era. The CB1100 does both. It's Honda's last salute to the universal Japanese motorcycle, the inline 4 standard that once ruled the road. In an age where technology has overtaken feel, this bike brings everything back to basics: steel, chrome, symmetry, and sound. It's a modern machine with an old soul, and now that it's officially out of production, its legacy is only growing stronger. The CB1100 is powered by an air and oil-cooled and 1140 cubic centimeters inline 4-cylinder engine producing 89 horsepower and 67 pound-feet of torque. Braking is managed by dual disc brakes up front and a single disc in the rear. Suspension features a telescopic front fork and dual shocks in the rear. The wet weight is 562 pounds and seat height is 31.2 inches. Original starting price was $12,500. What sets this motorcycle apart is its refusal to change. While other brands chased sharper angles, lighter frames, and ride-by-wire systems, the CB1100 stayed true to the blueprint that made Honda a household name in the 1970s. It's not about pushing performance boundaries, it's about offering a ride that feels deliberate and pure. Every movement, every vibration, every upshift and downshift connects you to the machine in a way most modern bikes no longer do. Now that Honda has officially ended production, the clock has started ticking. There won't be another motorcycle like this, not from Honda, and likely not from anyone else. That alone is enough to spark collector interest, but it goes deeper than that. The CB1010 was always a niche bike, never produced in high volumes, and that scarcity is beginning to show on the used market. Clean examples are getting harder to find, and those who own them are increasingly holding on tight. It also stands out because of its build quality. The materials are real. Thick paint, polished cases, brushed metal. This is not a parts bin special. It was engineered with pride and intended to honor Honda's past without cutting corners. That kind of craftsmanship is disappearing fast in the modern era of plastic panels and cost-saving shortcuts. And now a bike that was once forgotten, but is now catching fire among collectors. Number 2. Kawasaki ZRX 1200R. There are motorcycles that look fast. Then there are motorcycles that look like they punch the wind in the face. The ZRX 1200R belongs in the latter category. It is unapologetically bold, muscular, and brimming with heritage. Styled as a tribute to Eddie Lawson's iconic superbike from the early 1980s, this machine carries all the attitude of that golden age, with the real-world performance to back it up. It's not just retro. It's retro with purpose, and that's exactly why its value is rising faster than most riders expected. The ZRX 1200IR is powered by an 1164 cubic centimeters inline 4-cylinder engine that produces 122 horsepower and 83 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by dual front discs and a single rear disc. Suspension consists of conventional front forks and dual piggyback reservoir rear shocks. The wet weight is 581 pounds, and the seat height is 31.3 inches. When new, pricing started around $8,500. Everything about this motorcycle screams big, loud, and powerful. From its wide stance to its bulging engine covers and green and white livery, it looks like it's straight out of the AMA paddock. But unlike most race-inspired machines, the ZRX was designed to be comfortable, usable, and built for the street. That balance between race replica and real-world rideability is what makes it such a rare gem. These bikes were never built in enormous numbers, and they were often ridden hard by owners who knew exactly what they had. As a result, clean, low-mileage examples are becoming incredibly difficult to source. Even moderate-mileage bikes in good condition are starting to command serious prices on the used market. Collectors have taken notice, and many riders who used to brush off the ZRX as just another UJM are now kicking themselves for not buying one sooner. There's also a cultural factor at play here. The ZRX 1200R represents the end of an era, the last of the truly big Japanese muscle bikes with minimal electronics, real steel construction, and a focus on torque over top speed. But no bike on this list holds the kind of legendary status, scarcity, and investment potential as the one that finishes our countdown. Still watching? That means you care about what actually matters. Subscribe now. We cover what dealers ignore and collectors regret missing. Number 1. Yamaha RZ 350. This is the motorcycle that defined rebellion for an entire generation of riders. The RZ 350 didn't just bend the rules, it smoked right past them. With two-stroke power, race-bred handling, and the unmistakable sound of expansion chambers ringing out through the streets, it captured the essence of what performance meant in the 1980s. It wasn't a bike you bought to commute. It was a bike you bought to feel alive. The RZ 350 is powered by a 347 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled two-stroke parallel twin engine producing approximately 55 horsepower and 32 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by dual disc brakes in the front and a single disc at the rear. Suspension consists of telescopic front forks and dual shocks in the rear. The dry weight is 371 pounds and the seat height is 30.5 inches. When it was new, the starting price hovered around $2,400. What makes the RZ 350 so special isn't just its performance, it's its place in history. This was one of the last street-legal two-stroke motorcycles sold in the United States, and it featured then groundbreaking technology like Yamaha's power valve system. It came with racing DNA straight from Kenny Roberts and wore it proudly in both performance and graphics. For many riders, it was their first taste of what a truly raw, responsive, and unforgiving machine could be. Because of emissions regulations, two-stroke motorcycles disappeared from American roads not long after the RZ 350, and that's exactly why it's now one of the most sought-after collector bikes of the era. Clean, unmodified examples are extremely rare. Most have been raced, restored, or wrecked, but those that remain in original condition are already commanding well over $10,000 and climbing. Beyond its value, the RZ 350 offers a kind of riding experience you simply can't get anymore. Every vibration, Every gear shift, every ounce of throttle input is amplified through a lightweight chassis and delivered with a soundtrack that no four-stroke can match. It's wild, imperfect, and absolutely unforgettable. Some bikes are finally getting the respect they've earned. But there's one motorcycle, built far from the spotlight, that never got its chance. It's tougher, cheaper, and better built than what most riders ever expected. If you're ready to meet the machine that embarrassed Harley-Davidson and never made it stateside, that's the video you need to see next. And if this one opened your eyes, like, comment, and subscribe. The truth is out there, and we're not done digging.